Enough sounds into the mic. Now we make the mouth sounds, the actual mouth sounds. Into this best of 5. Ooh, pretty colors. Top left, we have RockeR the Terran. In the bottom right, it is RockeR the Protoss. Both players having participated in many open qualifiers, which we're not supposed to call them, but everyone does anyways. But both of them certainly not guaranteed to advance. I would say both of them are very likely to get into the closed qualifier portion, which is happening on Sunday, but then are not likely to actually make it into the main regional part of North America, or now in this case, this year, the Americas region. But I think RockeR has gotten close, and I think I think both of these players have gotten close. I'm talking close as in qualifying match, best of 5, 3-1 versus Nina or Future or someone like that, you know? So they put up a good fight for sure. It's a bit sad to see both of them going at each other right now, but it's possible and very likely that whoever loses today will advance on tomorrow, as there are 2 qualifiers where top 4 advance from each one. As far as who is favored in this particular best of 5, I could not tell you. I have no idea. RockeR has impressed me more than I was expecting when I first saw him, and was like, I don't know who this guy is, and I learned a bit more about him. I was like, oh, okay. And it was actually some impressive gameplay. RockeR, ditto. RockeR has gone through a couple of names, but solid Terran for sure. Biggest thing that people really pay attention to is that RockeR is actually InControl's little brother. So some of you will no doubt find that interesting. To my knowledge, he hasn't talked about him or doesn't bring it up very often or anything like that. But that is a fact for you guys. And he has to play Protoss, right? They're both Protoss fans, I suppose. So I really had no idea that he was this good at StarCraft. So he must have started playing in some of these online stuff actually after InControl passed, which I don't know if there's a reason or anything like that. I don't remember watching him before about 2019, 2018. And then he kind of just started participating in a lot of stuff. And like I said, has gotten close to qualifying to the regionals, but not quite so. Maybe this time it'll be different. There's less chances to qualify, I think, but then there's a few less players than you would expect. Ooh, Fox loses the Reaper. With names like Neep retiring, Disc taking his spots, Namshar going back to Europe, Silky not accepting the invite. You know, there's a couple more spots open, spots closed, and then some spots open. Yeah, anyways. I was wondering where the music was. Why does StarCraft do this sometimes? It just doesn't have music, and I feel eerily alone in the universe. You guys might think that I'm used to talking to no one. You know, I'm talking into a mic onto a screen, and you're like, oh, you're a pro at it. But if there's nothing in the background, if there's no music or sound effects or anything like that, it feels weird. There's the music. Oh, we're good now. We're good. Oh, thank God. Yay, my mom got me Easter candy. Thanks, Mom. What did we get? Thanks. We got Reese's Peanut Butter Bunnies. And, ooh, we got Sour Punch Twists. My mom knows I like sour stuff. I don't really like chocolate, but I do like chocolate and peanut butter. Like anyone should, by the way. Like, if there's people out there who don't like chocolate and peanut butter, that's a bit weird. But I'm allergic to peanuts. Okay. As if peanut allergies exist. I'm just kidding, by the way, guys. Please don't go spreading that around. I do believe allergies exist. But still, that was nice. I'm excited for that. Never knew Jeff had a brother. A brother and a sister, actually. I believe younger brother, older sister. I believe his older sister is actually taking care of his dog. Blessed in the Bold. So while I was excited about candy, what did I miss? I pressed a button too. You guys weren't even watching, both players. Reaper died, and then the game went on normally. Nailed it. 3 bases set up. RockeR scouts that with a Would Mine drop if you didn't already scout it already. Would Mine drop gonna be denied. And Foxer knows very little else, but even seeing the lack of fourth gas is a bit of a tell to the intent of RockeR. Going into, for instance, more gateway-heavy army rather than tech-heavy. Something with, say, a faster robo and robotics bay would be the sign there. The thing is that it's really not impossible to go on 3 gases up to Colossus. But I would expect that you have a less stalker count. There's got to be some give. This What Am I drop needs to pick a lane. Uh-oh, no, you picked the wrong lane! Oh! He thought that it was just tracking him for no good reason and thought he'd have plenty of room, but the army actually did entirely move out of position. Now, that was a bit odd. If Foxer kind of smiled and shook his head and said, like, what the hell, man? You know, that actually is a bit odd. It is. To the Protoss to move their very limited army supply completely out of position to tear down the medevac. Who does that? Who do that? But he did it, and it was correct. He actually took down the medevac. No repercussions, as Foxer does not have an army ready to push out. And that's something that RockeR could tell a little bit by the opener. There was a Raven opener, and there was a What Am I drop that has delayed things like Stim and medevacs, right? So he really wasn't going to be punished except by some of these kind of random marine attacks that have been popping up, which could have happened, but didn't. Unfortunately, loses the Observer. Didn't think it was going to be noticed that quickly, most likely. And now we have a 3rd CC on the way for Foxer. RockeR rocking it. Did go up to Robotics Bay, but looks like with the continued scouting and map presence that he has, feels pretty confident not diving towards a Colossus. Actually took some time to build other infrastructure, pylons, scouting pylons, gases, gateways, charge and +1 possibly even, and then got around to building a Colossus, is what it looks like happened anyways. Might be wrong about that, but yeah, was not in a particularly big hurry to get that Colossus out. Clipping and tweeting it. Thanks, man. Thanks. So finally we have some actual army going out of the map. No! Oh, wait. 2 medevacs already left. They just killed a Nexus. RockeR's Stalkers might have gotten a free medevac, but the rest of his army completely out of position. 2 medevacs drop out and kill a Nexus. Oh no. It looks like RockeR did pull most of his probes before that happened, but the army that he had left at home was not fast enough to respond. Perhaps the Colossus had only just popped out. That is extremely awkward. 1 freebie medevac, 2 they had to chase down, but were ultimately not trades on the army supply, and a completely lost 3rd Nexus. Well, it is a bit interesting. I don't think you can actually say one way or the... Well, I was gonna say that the loss of a Nexus is devastating this early on. No doubt about it. This is not a 6th base that people are just like, eh. But again, because Foxer gave away a decent chunk of army to do so, and RockeR gave away none, I was gonna say, there's a chance that RockeR still recovers. Not necessarily economically instantly. He can't just, you know, boom, bust out 1 billion probes and 2 Nexus. But what I do think he can do with the Colossus power is exactly what he is doing, which is trying to bully Foxer's 3rd base. Now, this 3rd base wasn't taken here. There's no observer for the Widow Mine. So this isn't really working out so far already. And the auto turret's still going by her for harassment. Oof. Yeah, if RockeR can't even poke at Foxer, yeah, and that is quite worrying. RockeR's probe count still not very impressive. Oh. This would have been a fine location to come in from if it wasn't for that really well-placed tank. Really nicely done there by Foxer. It is so common for the Terran to take the triangle pattern, just the way that most Terrans would take it, and then their tanks would be sieged up in a much less brutal situation. They'd be sieged up here, easily snipeable, concave for the Protoss, all this much, and then if the tank's up here, for instance, it's not you know, what is it really helping to defend? But if RockeR were to know ahead of time that the third base was taken over to the right, then there is still an opportunity for him. So I'm glad to see that he didn't just back away. There's absolutely an opportunity for RockeR to take advantage of this Colossus-based army. The Viking count not high enough to just willy-nilly tear down those Colossus. Ghost do get a couple of EMPs, but RockeR is still trying to push on through. Got to be careful with those Colossus. They often derp out on these buildings, but so far, beaming down the right units, they are giving up their lives to do so as the Vikings finally tear them down. And the question is, was this enough damage? Zealots were massacring the SCVs during that entire fight. Stalkers blink away. 3rd CC will live, but 17 SCVs did go down. And the Stalkers, well, they should continue living. Some nice last-second pickoffs because the Stalkers noticed some low Vikings, some low Marauders. And at the end of the day, I guess RockeR is in a recoverable position. These Widow Mines being a huge bother too, however. And he's going to try and snipe the command center. This could be extremely dangerous. It's not going to work out. The SCVs get the repair. Oh, no. I mean, the Zealots are often not all that expensive, but when you just lost your 3rd base and are still recovering, even if you're on 3 bases, I'd still say that many Zealots is a bit of an investment, right? But you're rebuilding your army. You're rebuilding your economy. You're rebuilding the expensive parts of your army, too. Those Zealots were not inexpensive. They could have been used at a different time, different place, and been a little bit more of a time-buying unit. Those were trying to dive to help get the 3rd CC, and it did not work. RockeR, in a whole heck of a lot of trouble, is going to go up to triple Robo. Probably just going to pump out Disruptors like crazy and hope that one of them hits. Like, close your eyes and pray. Jesus, take the wheel. Foxer is getting really well set up, though. So, you know, very possible that Foxer makes a mistake and gets hit by a Disruptor ball right in the face. 7 Marauders die, 5 Ghosts die, you know. But if he's set up on 4 bases with a Planetary, not being harassed, with all the production done, 1 Disruptor shot will not cut it. That is the real problem, is that RockeR can't get anything else happening. He only has the hope of a Disruptor shot to win him an engagement, but winning an engagement still wouldn't be, like, he'd have to really win, really hardcore win, like 2 Disruptor shots kill all the ground army, the rest that's picked up to try and fly away gets picked off by the Stalkers, and then it unloads in the midst of battle on the orbital, not the planetary. You know, it had to be the perfect sequence of events for RockeR to really capitalize on the Disruptor shot. Now, RockeR is recovering. The 4th base is down, the probe count's back up, and I don't think Foxer has realized this. Oh, no, he definitely did. Definitely did. My bad. Totally saw this Nexus. So that's going to be really difficult for RockeR to hold on to. But what RockeR could do is also just use Disruptors as time buyers. Like, not even really expecting it to hit something good, but it's always using 1 Disruptor ball at a time to ward away Foxer's army. So far, so good. Upgrades even as well, about to be favorable to RockeR. Foxer's army, not all here. A couple of units back at home, but that is most of his army, actually. It needs a big old concave to actually take the engagement. Every time it's clumped up like this, RockeR is going to see a potential good fight for him. So he's not even just using this army to push back the Terran. He's actually pushing the Terran backwards. Grabs a command center. No cancel right there. And RockeR, this is some impressive play to navigate the scenario he had found himself in after losing the Nexus and then not getting the snipe on the 3rd orbital. I think required some, you know, flexibility, right? And it required some savviness in the game, and he has shown it. Investing a lot into just Disruptors to cover his ass, and then every other penny that he was able to scrounge up has gone into a Gateway army, which is actually what eventually the Protoss army looks like anyways. It's actually, you know, after the Colossus era is kind of done, you just basically own a Stalker Disruptor. And say the disadvantage is that it is vulnerable. If it does get surrounded, if it gets concaved, it comes in from 2 different angles, the Disruptors don't do as much damage as they need to, and then the Stalkers are just paper. The drop is also something that could be problematic if you don't see it coming in advance, and that is RockeR's problem. One disruptor shot gets one nice shot, but that was it. Only one. Gateway units will have to cover it for now, and they will indeed, especially with the reinforcements coming in. A nice snipe on that last medevac, too. The Gateway Army is nothing to shake a stick at. It's got 3-2 upgrades, partially covered by disruptors, right? Disruptors trading out, as well as just forcing the other army to move away. Every time the army of the Terran goes, oh shit, a disruptor, and runs back, is all the time the stalkers are getting their projectile shots in, right? So that's an important dynamic. And RockeR actually gets more punished than anything else for going for that drop. Yes, he got a Forge. The Forge was trying to get an upgrade, and he was able to cancel it, but they are already really well upgraded units. RockeR probably doesn't even need to go into double Forge at this point, but is. And what's also really impressive is that he was able to get 4 bases back up and an almost maxed out army with good upgrades. He was also adding on Stargates to start his process up to a late game PvT. That's a lot of investment. That's a lot. Now, the game hasn't actually reached a point in which I believe Tempests are needed. So I'm actually a bit concerned even still. What is currently happening is RockeR is still on a bio army. He is going into Liberators now, though. And the Viking count still exists, too. So Tempests, you know, they're very slow shooters. So Vikings can take care of them. Especially if they engage over this particular pillar. Oh. Tempests are scanned. Gotta go back into some Vikings. He's not gonna try and win that fight with the Stalkers able to blink forward. So RockeR pulls back. What I was worried about is if RockeR ever gave RockeR an opportunity to again get one of those surrounds. I keep saying surrounds as if you need like a 360 surround. I don't think that's true. I do mean concaves. I mean 2 different directions. You know, this much of a concave. Then I think RockeR could be in trouble, but RockeR has actually been able to stop RockeR from getting into any, I think, particularly brutal area. Looking at this map, really one of the biggest concaves that you can get is actually on top of a would-be 4th. If you pass through these rocks, it's over here. So RockeR has not been able to really find any of those types of scenarios, and it's just been trying to outmaneuver RockeR's army, which is somewhat successful. This one definitely being very successful. Lots of probes going down. Nexus should also fall. Maybe some of the units could escape up the top left. No, just kidding. Nope, not gonna happen. Oh, a nuke comes down. Nice. It's on top of the 3rd base. Yes, that was the 3rd base. And it is not being seen. Now, it's not the juiciest target, but I love that it's going to land. It is absolutely going to land. It's going to land. It's going to land. There's a big fight happening as well. More probes go down, but there is the big fight. RockeR is trying to take advantage of the repositioned Protoss army and was damn close to doing so. RockeR only just getting over to the right side to cover this base as he lets this base continue to be massacred. They already lost the next. They already lost the probes. I think that was a smart decision. Stop the Liberators from sieging up on this base and taking the high ground because that would be brutal. The Tempest and Carrier would be able to take care of the Liberators to a certain degree, but you definitely don't want to let Liberators get sieged up where they want to be. You always want to stop them prior to that point. And RockeR, not able to be as abusive as he would like, definitely needs to just think about taking a really good straight-up engagement. So you got to get that Viking count up. You got to take on the air. You got to get somewhat of a concave going. And so far, that hasn't happened for him, but it could be happening now. He has found his opponent out of position multiple times, only barely not finding him out of position right here. Definitely has hamstringed his opponent by tearing down a very necessary 4th base. His initial 3 bases, RockeR's initial 3 bases are almost mined out. His probe count is abysmal. He's not remaking the probes. This base has got to live. It is his lifeline right now. It might be all or nothing. RockeR almost maxed out 154 army supply, all the upgrades here. He's got the tools. He needs to actually deliver on it. And that is the biggest challenge, getting a good fight. The Liberator is now defensively minded. We'll be trying to take advantage of all these chokes. You can see the dance that's supposed to happen between the two as well. Liberators bait out those Tempests. Vikings after the Tempest when they reveal themselves. No Storms is definitely going to be a bummer. Storms right here would have been amazing. Not going to happen. Stalkers initially trying to take on the Vikings. Let the Carriers do the rest, and all of the Vikings, all but one, do go down. RockeR still not producing probes again. Not bothering to go for another Nexus. Okay, he's starting to build these probes. I was gonna say, I don't know if this all-in's actually gonna work. It might be time to replenish the economy and try another avenue. He's gonna blink into this. The Liberators are siege. The planetary is up. The Disruptor is trying to find some shots. Is it going to be enough? The carriers are still healthy with a lot of interceptors, and there's nothing to kill the carriers is the problem. The planetary is holding damn strong against the Stalkers, but eventually the SCVs will start to go down. Foxer's supply is technically higher than his opponents, but that is in workers, which are doing their damnedest to help survive. They are surviving by going ahead and repairing this planetary. But what about the air? At the end of the day, while most of the ground army of RockeR has been killed thanks to this amazing planetary, the air of RockeR still reigns supreme. Foxer needs to bulk up 12 Vikings and 24 Marines to actually take this fight. And he doesn't have the time to do so. RockeR is knocking on the front door, man. He's already on the natural. He's taking care of some of the reinforcements from the third base. Now he doesn't have a planetary to worry about, so his disruptors are back into the fray as well. They intercept the count high with an upgrade. 2 upgrades, actually. They have +2 on them. And I think Foxer might be letting this game slip out of his grasp. It's been back and forth. It's been intense. And Foxer was very nearly, I think, at a point of no return favorably for him. Right? He almost made it to the point in which he had killed enough of his opponent's economy and had enough of an army to actually hold. But RockeR deciding to move into siege liberators with a planetary next to them, thinking that he could actually break that, was a bit of a madman call. Most of the Protosses, even particularly savvy ones, would have really hesitated and said, you know what, it's not worth it. I'll try and bide my time and find a different scenario. But that was the actual breaking point. That was when Foxer still had too little to survive. Can you believe that? But I think a real champion was just how many carriers he was able to build up. Total of 6 carriers in this game. I think 5 were fighting right there, I want to say. And they had all of their interceptors, and all of them were out, and with +2 attack. I think they are actually, that's actually a really big deal. And now it's too late, I think. RockeR has not recovered the economy very much. Like, he made 3 more probes and that was it, but has built up enough of an army. Foxer can't get enough army out. He has to tap out, and RockeR will take game 1 of this best of 5. Which I truly did not expect. I thought he was in a lot of trouble after that failed snipe on the orbital. I thought he was in a lot of trouble when he couldn't find an access point into Foxer's natural. And then to basically bust him on the unkillable planetary. That's the type of maneuver in which I would say, oh, Hero does that. And Hero made it work because he's Hero. And no one can do what Hero can do. But that was kind of insane. That was kind of insane that it worked. That he did it. Maybe it's not insane that it worked. It's insane that he did it. Yeah. Because I think we could all count the ways in which that attack with the planetary actually worked out for him. But it's insane that he did it. That he actually chose that moment to engage. It's insane. Game 2 is going to be on Gresvon. Bottom right, Foxer. Top left, RockeR. A very fast probe, by the way.
Resubscription received. Apparently you are doing something right, Captain.
Thank you, Arianok TV, for the 4-month sub. Appreciate the support, guys. Today's games far surpassing my expectation. Basically every series. Masa vs. Ryu is not the most dynamic, but even that had its moments and was a very convincing result for Ryu, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. But there was a really great PvP earlier today, and this first game of the series anyways was really cool. And I have to say, we've seen very few LOL NA moments. Notice chat not say NA. RockeR is going to bring in some cheese. Got a good old double gates, proxy gate coming down. I think RockeR, one of the things that I noted the first time I watched him in a best of 3, or maybe it was a best of 5, I don't remember, But I think I remember noting in particular that not only did he have some solid gameplay, but I was quite impressed by his ability to play out a series, which is one of those things that you work on when you actually start to be a tournament contender. You know, you don't work on it when you're still laddering and trying to get to Masters. And even then, I would say a lot of people take a long time to start participating in tournaments. They're like, well, I'm not beating Maru yet, so I can't be a tournament contender. You're like, okay, calm down. You need experience. Like, just do the thing. It seems like RockeR has kind of just like decided to do the thing. You know, just like, yeah, I'm going to play in tournaments. I might not win them, but... And I'm going to play a lot of different styles, too. Which we do see a decent amount when you do get to this level. Say a lot of the players in the bracket today would be capable of mixing it up on a best of. But then the problem would be how much they mix up and how much weakness do they show when they mix it up. Like, is their cheese much worse than their macro or vice versa? In RockeR's case, I think it's about even, but I haven't, you know, I'm not watching every game of his. We did have a quickly canceled command center, which is a good start for RockeR. So far, the best response possible from Foxer. There's not much else you expect the poor guy to do. He did go Marine Reactor, so the Marine count's going to grow fairly quickly. You don't know what the follow-up is, though, is kind of a disappointing thing. And the Reaper doesn't have any chance to get some counter damage done. But the number of Marines grows quickly, so I don't think you're usually afraid of being busted at this point. When the bunkers finish, you're not being busted. It's kind of the thing. So 2 SCVs go down. The command center had to be canceled. Foxer... Quick as a bunny. Quick as a Foxer. Changing up his build to accommodate. And even thinking maybe, by the looks of it, to... He might have been thinking about changing it over to the reactor. I'm not sure. He might have also been thinking about hiding his starport a little bit more. I don't know. The original pod, thank you for the 24 months. 2 years, yay! We just say EU good now. NA bad is an old. It's too old. Oh my gosh. Other cool NA Terran cuddle bears in chat. Oh my god. It's all the cool NA kids. So Foxer is just doing what Terran can do in the situation. You just, you know, move along, live your life. With a frown, but you still, you move on. So 111 going up to What Am I drop. Natural command center finally on the way. I would say RockeR just basically got what he wanted from that proxy gate. Nothing more, nothing less. Better case scenario for the Terran is somehow they do defend the natural, or they have a factory expand going on, but, you know, it's definitely not always going to happen. So I'd say this is a pretty good alternative. Very limited SCV damage. No entry into the main to cause chaos. And then calm and steady from that point on. RockeR? What are you doing? No. It's going to go right into charge. Now, if charge is the first thing you get on 2 bases, you might just be a cheeser. No, I'm just kidding. It's a pretty weird thing to do, though. If you get Phoenix, obviously, and you're going into charge, it's a bit different. If you're getting Colossus and going into charge, it's kind of different, too, actually. It's a very one-punch limited composition, but it has its purposes. For the love of God. Oh, that reached. RockeR with an almost great last-minute split. You know, there's only so much you can do if you're splitting at the last literal second, but...
Thank you for becoming a member.
5 probes go down. That's really not too bad. That could have been way worse, because he was late to pull in. Mariac TV, thank you for that gifted sub. Skamastrin. But if you just go into charge, that's what I was talking about, sorry. If you just go into charge on 2 bases, yeah, you're cheesing. Gases, probes are out of gas. I wonder if Foxer picked up on that. Or it's really hard because the What Am I drop means they pull probes, right? And they might have pulled probes from the gas geyser accidentally, you don't know. So I wonder if he picked up on that or not. I don't think he did, man. The Twilight Council would be 100% default assumed to be Blink. But it's charge. With the proxy gateway still up and running, tanks will hold wonderfully against Blink Stalkers, not so much against charge. I don't know, man. I don't know, Kev. This actually could be a brilliant maneuver here from RockeR. Very different type of follow-up, but I think I like it. Oh, Foxer. You don't know what's coming, boy. Oh, no. Stim's not done. Combat shield's not done. Tanks advance even further. They're even more vulnerable to charge lots getting this around. Here they come. Foxer had no idea. He's gonna try to salvage a situation. You know, what else can you do? The Marines do pull back to clump up together. SCVs also participating in the fight are excellent on that ramp to hold those zealots in place. Stop them from overwhelming the Marines, but 13 SCVs give their life for the cause. Now, that might seem devastating, but actually, with 6 more probes going down to the Woodamine drop, RockeR has not done quite enough damage. Us Terrans are scrappy, man. We got 2 orbitals, we get 2 mules, we got a whole game to play out, you know? You know? So, on top of that, Stim Baya was actually done. And Stim Baya was amazing. Charge lots getting massacred to try to run into that. That didn't work out. The number of units that Foxer was able to save by giving up those tanks and giving up those SCVs was the right amount. That was absolutely the right call, really nicely done, and a fine example as to why that follow-up doesn't often happen. I think this is actually a great example of something that a semi-pro would not be capable of doing or thinking of 10 years ago. A pro wouldn't be able to. If you put this back in 2012 when you gave Marine King Prime, who was called Foxer, by the way, for a while, well, he was called Boxer, and then he changed. Well, anyways, and you told him to do that, he'd be like mind blown. Oh, okay, I see. No, they just would have died. They'd have been like, oh no, charge lots. But now, Foxer, showing us the moves, showing us what a cool, calm, collected Terran can do, has the benefit of not economy necessarily, even with double mule, but he has the benefit of a fantastic army. Baya with medevacs, great firepower in a head-to-head fight, and the mobility as well, as Blink, of course, was not something that RockeR got. But RockeR also showcasing some old-school tactics, just some decent force field trying to come down to save the day, have bought him some time. But he needs more reinforcements ASAP, and his gateways have been at least partially depowered. He used so many force fields, he doesn't have actually a Guardian Shield, which would be extremely helpful against the mostly Marine army. What he does have is a Colossus about to pop out, which is definitely helpful against Marines, but nothing to detect these Widow Mines, and that's a problem. Armory's not done, but 2 of them still got a shot. Nexus has to be sacrificed. Probes have been recalled, so at least they've been saved, and this game got all types of topsy-turvy. But I will say Foxer should be comfortably in the lead at this point. 3 bases with the 16-worker lead. RockeR is rocking it. 54 workers effectively mining at the rate of 48 workers. Well, on minerals. Wait. No, I did that right. With gases. Yeah, I did that right. Hold on. Math. It's a bit too hard for casters. That's the slogan. Anyways, it's just not as effective, right? It's just not as good. So Foxer has 2 mules. Getting back to SCV production will ramp up fairly quickly in that mineral income. Gas being less important for Terran, we all know that. And 3rd CC on the way, already being invested into. And still the army. That's also the really important thing. Still the army. Bio's alive, Medevac's alive, even the Raven is alive, and that helped earlier on with the anti-armor missile. So I'd still be much more scared in the Protoss's position. You just don't have as much control over the map. If RockeR were to make the ballsy move of going across the map and trying to siege up Foxer when Foxer's still on 2 bases, that might actually work. It'd be insane, again, because it would be so... You'd have to just basically make sure you don't get concaved at any point on your travel to your destination. Oh, and the Raven's still alive, too? Oh, yeah, man. Raven's still being alive for the Interference Matrix. If RockeR could have had 4 Colossus and able to get across the map while the Terran was still stuck on 2 bases, you are the biggest bully in the world. The Terran just like, oh no, I mean, the little choke would work through. Yeah. But now, well, that was clearly not possible. 4 Colossus only just now coming out. Nonetheless, it is 4 Colossus. That is a sturdy army, properly protected by fodder and force fields. Foxer back on the attack as well. Not so much, I think, actually willing to engage into that. But at least there to try and control the push out. Oh, nice little pick up on the Widow Mine. So you can at least see the move out coming, try and get properly positioned, buy time, get EMPs, something like that. I said I was more worried for RockeR, but the recovery is not nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be. This actually looks totally fine. This looks so much more difficult for Foxer, who has recovered on the SCVs, by the way. But I guess it's too late. 4 Colossus, man. That's very difficult for what is still mostly Marine to tackle. Interference pitches does take 2 out of the equation, but the force fields are brutal. Upgrades are even for both parties. SCVs pull, I think, just away. Yeah, no point in pulling them into an army when your army is being cut in half. The power of the Sentry on display here. Holding on the counterattack. And now delivering for what could be the killing blow. What looks to be the killing blow. 20 army supply difference. We've got the Terran locked up in that natural. Looking like they can't do anything. Everyone point and laugh at the poor Terran, man. Going through an even smaller choke. Those EMPs were pretty brutal. 2 out of 4 of the Colossus are dead. The Vikings will tear down the last few, and that ground army is melting like paper, but it's still not enough. The couple of Marauders want to win this so bad. The Vikings land as well. The Medivacs individually microing everything, too. Decide to pick everything up and try to live another day. This is surprisingly close, but 37 SCVs just went down. RockeR not losing any probes back at home. He won't be able to kill an orbital by the looks of things, and he might just lose his army here, but he has made sure that whatever Foxer does from here on out is going to be totally and completely all in. So at this point in time, RockeR, just take a chill pill. Just leave. Oh my god. Just leave. And finally he does. Finally he leaves into a wood mine, but still, finally he leaves. The only chance Foxer has now is to all in. I mean, you might as well just pull the rest of your SCVs. What are they going to do? I'm so surprised still how that economy just looked That didn't even look like a consequence that he lost that 3rd Nexus. It was just like, yeah, whatever. These NA games, hard to read, I guess. that's what I'm blaming. Yeah, RockeR is now not going to lose this game. The only chance he had to lose at that point in time of which he was in the natural barbecuing everything is if he had overstayed. If he had lost every single stalker and then went, oh, maybe I have to be careful, he could be in trouble. He'd have to be replacing his stalkers, which means he couldn't replace his Colossus. Or he's only building Colossus and absolutely 0 stalkers, which also has a problem. He's got no time buying, he's got no harassment. Foxer is gunning it to the other side of the map. But fortunately, RockeR did realize I should probably just chill. And has been rebuilding at home. 4th base coming up. 2-2's on the way. More Colossus on the way. A couple of Stalkers lost their lives. Distracting and buying time, but that's okay. This is looking like an unbeatable army on top of a supercharged battery. Foxer. Not going to give up quite yet, but in a ton of trouble. Losing reinforcements to a couple of Zealots. Just going to hope that RockeR makes the mistake of pushing into him haphazardly, I suppose. But in this case, strength in Colossus. There are definitely downsides to over-depending on Colossus, which I talk about in a very different game. In this game, I think it's totally the right call. You really do make the Terran very frustrated. Disruptors, the chance you can out-micro them. Or out-position them. Colossus, a little less so with their cliff-walking ability. Mass Gateway obviously has its downsides. Even if he could go into Archons and Storm, EMP would directly kill those. There's no way that this Terran could ever afford enough Vikings to directly tackle Colossus. And if you do get to a high enough Colossus count, even a really good concave of Marauder Medivac won't out-heal its damage. So... yeah, it's just particularly brutal. I mean, I guess if the Vikings find this really clever position, you know, Fox is trying to take seriously the best engagement possible. You know, he's microing his little heart out. He's getting the EMPs. He's trying to let those Vikings kill the Colossus before the Colossus kill him. But it's just too little. Just too little. GG, 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 GG. Man, that hold of the counterattack, really gotta take another look at that, man. force fields are still good unit to have. So after 2 very close games, we now have Foxer on his last life. In the bottom left of Ancient Sister, and it is RockeR, who is just looking so versatile and so flexible. Personally, as a bad Protoss player, and an even worse one back when Protoss was heavily dependent on force fields, I would not have thought about force fields in that scenario. Every time I see a Protoss actually use force fields in those desperate gateway-only army scenarios, he's gonna cannon rush! Oh my god. I'm always like, oh right, yeah, that was a thing. You know, it's so much more about other things. Force fields might only impact, you know, a certain type of engagement nowadays, but they're hardly ever used as that last-second, last-ditch attempt to defend. Uh-oh. Foxer might be a little bit on to RockeR's tricks. The full wall off against a cannon rush is a really good thing to have. So much so that I could even say this is already game over. However, I am a little concerned here. The bunker will be in range of the cannons, right? 100%, right? Right? 100%, right? 100%, yeah? Oh, but there's no high ground. Oh, shit! There's the high ground! Oh my god, that high ground actually hit that bunker, but it doesn't hit the other bunker. That's the problem. I forgot about high ground dynamics. He's about to have the high ground again, however. That pylon buying enough time for the marine shots. No, not actually. So yes, that is actually pretty much game over. Okay, I'm glad I was right. It would have been really weird if a pylon got up here. So even the best cannon rushers, it's actually a cheese. Even the best cannon rushers can't really roll out of a cannon rush that fails like this. If this cannon rush actually got a pylon up on the high ground and the 2 bunkers died, and then there's like a little more micro, but eventually Foxer can like holds. There's something, I guess. As I try to emphasize, the amount of time it takes to deal with something is also a factor in determining who's ahead or behind. But this was so quick. This was so quick. It was so snappy. It was so calmly responded to. I mean, it was just... I don't think there's a way RockeR comes out of this. There's a lot of other cheeses and all-ins that can happen where the correct response afterwards can save lives. For instance, a 4-gate is quite dedicated. We hardly call it a cheese. We don't call it an all-in in PvT, but it's very, very dedicated. And theoretically, when that doesn't work, when someone just instantly stops it, they have an almost hard counter to it, it's supposed to be a very bad build. But we know that MaxPax has made it his life's duty to try and prove that the 4-gate is a macro build. And he kind of sometimes does it. He sometimes does it. He sometimes gets hardcore denied by Clem, for instance. And you're just like, well, no way MaxPax can come out of this one. Not even he could do this. And he does it. It really makes you rethink things. But usually when a cannon rush fails like this, it is too all-in. It is too cheesy. It is too early on to recover. But I'm prepared to be wrong. It looks like RockeR is going to be a good old-fashioned Protoss on the ladder that we all face on the day-to-day. Okay, he's going to go cannon rush into +1 armor charge lot all-in. This is the only thing it could be. Come on. Don't make this blink. That'd be fucking weird. Sorry, I cursed. It's gotta be Jihad's charge. Of course it is. The +1 is surprising. Oh, he takes a hidden base! Oh, okay. It's a bit different than the ladder. See, the ladder Protoss would have cannon rushed you into charge all in, into charge Archon all in with DTs. You know, charge all in DTs, then charge Archon all in. Or follow up with the Stargate, which would have been terrible here. But RockeR is looking to prove me wrong. He's getting an upgrade. His upgrade was coming first and foremost, and of course he had the Forge from the Cannon Rush, but still, to emphasize the upgrade is just kind of a bit funny. And the charge lots into a hidden third base. So what this hidden third base is going to help with is going to help him make sure he doesn't get out multitask if it continues to be undiscovered. Charge lots have a pretty big weakness. They have multiple weaknesses, actually. One of their big weaknesses is that they can't really take care of drops. So you can just literally drop them left, right, and center, and the charge lots are waving their hands. Like, no. They also are, I think, kind of easily sized up on the defense. If they get a big surround, you could really underestimate Zealots. You're like, that's not many Zealots, and then they surround you and you die. We've had that happen. But I would say defensively, most Terrans can really size up an engagement with pure Zealots because they do one thing. They charge after you, right? And they can micro against them. You know, move and shoot, move and shoot, move and shoot. And they deal very little damage. Stalkers can micro, they can blink forward, they can blink backwards, they can find you out of position, they can find you going over the terrain, you know. Zealots are just like, you know, they're dumb. They're one-dimensional. They're one-dimensional. So you really need to be getting the Terran confused, I think, to really make this work. So I love the idea of a hidden base. No! Foxer was actually looking. He's literally looking, and he missed the corner base. How could this ever happen? A corner base is the most obvious one. No. No. Wow. So he might have been scouting also for technology. Hidden Dark Shrine or something like that. But he sees the third base, and it's the fourth base. So he might go and try and snipe that, and RockeR will even be like, yeah, whatever, man. I guess you snipe it. Like, okay, fine. Whatever, man. Oh, the scan's a big reveal. He's not going to check the ramp. He could have force fielded the ramp, but he's not going to force field the ramp, and it's going to be all over anyways. Yeah, I think it's all over. The probes are going to get caught out. The Nexus gets killed, because if he had only sacrificed the Nexus, I think it's fine. But he sacrificed the Nexus, the probes, a little bit of army supply. It's too bad, too, because if he was watching the ramp, he could have force-fielded. I'm not supposed to be cheering for RockeR, and I'm really, like, if Foxer wins, I'm totally happy with that. It's just that I'm basically, my attention is drawn to the people, the clowns, you know? And I mean that in the nicest way possible. I'm sorry. I'm just like, I'm out in the streets of New York, and there's this really cool violinist playing some really artistic rendition of some whatever. That's Foxer. And then I see two people punching each other in the nuts. And I'm like, well, that's much more entertaining. And that it's kind of like that, you know? Like, RockeR is just... He's not punching anyone in the nuts, but he is doing some weird fucking shit, man. He is doing some weird StarCraft. I'm here for it. But Foxer is just like, please can I play a normal game where I normally beat you? And RockeR keeps on saying, no, you cannot. Again, force fields being the highlight right there. Two 1 upgrades for RockeR, by the way. 2-1 with the armor being the +2. He's working on 3-2. I cannot believe he didn't see the corner base, man. This is insane. Come on. The thing is, I have done this. I have literally looked at a replay and said, no, I checked every single base. What the hell, man? And then, you know, it's the one base you didn't check. Oh, he's gonna try and do the ghost EMP snipe. He gets the EMPs on the sentries. Fancy Foxer. But it doesn't have the follow-up, so it's a bit moot. It's Cal's opinion. It's moo. Foxer. He's still winning, to be clear, guys. I know the fourth base is up, and third base has been retaken and RockeR is holding, but I'd say Foxer is still winning. Kind of. Well, those upgrades are a bit concerning, to be honest. It's going to be 3-2 versus 1-1. I'm not even sure Foxer has realized that. Every good player eventually learns to always check upgrades. But if this was a situation when Foxer said, I know what's happening, I know you must be starving for money, there's no way you have upgrades, I'm not even going to check, I wouldn't even blame him. I'd be like, understandable. I would also expect no upgrades. But they're extremely good upgrades. 4 Colossus again, which I guess now that we're kind of in a macro game, I'll talk about the downsides of multiple Colossus. Colossus also end up being a little one-dimensional. They serve a purpose, and they're pretty good at that purpose, but you don't want to rely heavily on Colossus. If Viking numbers get high enough, you just can't stop the Colossus from dying before the engagement happens. So literally 16 Vikings will one-shot these Colossus one after another, and the Stalkers cannot stop that from happening, really. It's kind of a, you know, it's more of how much time do you buy before the Colossus die. And then 2, they are still kind of more vulnerable to a big concave of Marauder Medevac. They just are, you'll see 4 Colossus shooting 4 different locations, and 1 Colossus beam, which is 2 beams, but still, won't kill a Marauder being healed by Medevacs. So you need something a bit chunkier. So, you know, Mortals or, of course, Disruptors. And I actually would really like if this was a 5 Colossus, 5 Immortal composition or something like that. I wonder how difficult that would be for Terrans to size up. But Disruptors are fantastic. Because Disruptors not only, you know, one-shot everything, but they also are space buyers in a way that Colossus aren't. Colossus are containers to a certain degree. If they're in the right spot, they can contain, but they don't really buy space. So if they're collapsed in on, screw you. Now we're gonna have ourselves a base trade, because how else would we possibly end this best of 5? It is game 3 with RockeR up 2-0. Foxer on his last life, and he is gonna dive towards this base trade. If he had some Liberators on the way, that would solve a lot of his problems, but currently only the Vikings. Upgrade's gonna finish for both parties by the looks of it. So that's 3-3-1 for RockeR. And 2-2 for Foxer. 1 Disruptor trying to get a shot. It's going to land on the Vikings. Nope, not even that. Not even that. But who comes out ahead in this situation? People say don't base trade at Terran. I think it's a very old saying. Doesn't mean what it used to. I think RockeR is going to be very happy about having this hidden Nexus, even more so than previously. And I think if he added a Dark Shrine, that would be an amazing idea. The Viking count not high enough to bully those Vikings like I was talking about. There's 11 on the field, but 10 of them on the other side of the map. RockeR already taking a hidden base to the bottom right as well, taking both corners. And Foxer is running out of all this production, did not lift his production, did not lift his buildings. Is thinking, this is it. Foxer thinks that was the last Nexus. In about 15 seconds, he'll realize it's not telling him that was the last Nexus, and he's gonna think, oh, the guy had money and is replacing Nexuses. No, he already has one. It's established. It's got pylons around it. Oh, poor Foxer. This is a brutal series, man. Foxer's play, to me, says that he would beat a lot of other more standard Protoss. A lot of really good standard Protoss. But RockeR is that type of guy that must just make your teeth grind, you know? You're just like, no, don't do the thing! God! And then you start raging like Artosis on his stream. But RockeR does the thing! And poor Foxer might get 3-0, and it's really not indicative of his play. By now, of course, he's realized there's a hidden Nexus. He sees the bottom right and goes, oh, okay, that kind of, you know, I can take care of that, but that's not it. Oh, he sees the top left as well. And he's going to see the minerals have already been mined out and kind of start to figure things out if he pays attention. At this point in time, thoughts are racing a mile a minute. Eventually, he'll say, oh my god, those minerals are mined out. What the hell? Recall is available. RockeR's army is bigger, but it is very dangerous. The Nexus is going to be sniped anyways. I was going to say it's dangerous because you can't recall the entire army most of the time. The recall is not big enough. And then if you recall some Colossus on top of the bio, they get killed before they hit the bio. So that was really dangerous. Planetary is here, but no longer protected. This is a best opportunity for RockeR to break the planetary with minimal losses, but he also has to be careful. He can't be engaging the planetary when the army comes up from behind. Oh, it's also planetary. All right, here we go. Best opportunity. Planetary still up and running. Vikings looking for those shots. They want to kill basically 2 Colossus before this engagement even starts, and they are absolutely capable of doing that. EMPs come down to sacrifice a couple of those ghosts, but there are the Vikings trying their best. Unfortunately, the Stalker's in a bit of a better position than you would be hoping for. Foxer's ground army also starting to get a little low, but the Colossus are lowering in numbers. The last one is here. It's getting a couple extra shots. The Stalkers blink aggressively forward. The upgrades really shining through, but the Vikings land as well. The Medivacs, Marauder, and 2 Viking hit squad is gonna win. It's doing it! Oh my goodness. Oh, and there's another army. I don't even know where this army came from. It's probably been stimmed a bajillion times because he's had it on its hotkey, even coming from across town. But I think Foxer's done it, man. I think Foxer is held. Holy shit. DT Blink is on the way. Oh, RockeR. Get that big brain out of here. You're too smart for StarCraft. Oh my god, DT Blink is going to be so annoying. These are planetaries, guys, not orbitals. There is an orbital on the way, but 1 orbital is all you got for scans. Now, Foxer could just kill RockeR after this engagement. I think RockeR will wait until the DTs try. But... his army's dead. Stalkers, run. Stalkers, Stalkers, Stalkers. Oh, the Stalkers do not run nearly fast enough. Not that 5 Stalkers would have made or broken this game, but it's a bit unfortunate. Scan was just used. Did it kill a DT? No, it did not. I don't know what the hell it killed. No, it killed... Oh! DTs blunk in, and then they blunk out. Now, he could shoot his own SCV. Oh, he's not thinking about it, but it would have been cool, right? He could have shot his own SCV and hoped the splash killed the DT. His own SCV to kill the DT. I said that right. But this base has a missile turret. So 1 base down. Here comes the DT Blink. No, it's not finished! But nothing can see him. Nothing can see him. The Widow Mine's not gonna pop. Nothing can punish the Medivacs, though, of course. DT Blink is pretty good. But, you know, Blink Stalker is also pretty good. And they could have been here if they had been saved earlier on. More DTs coming. It's only 10 DTs, guys. That is all that RockeR has to win this game. And they do not shoot up. Rather, famously, DTs not capable of shooting up. They can turn into Archons, though. Would 1 Archon be worth it? No. No? No. No? No. Oh, go for the command center! Go for the command center! No! Not the planetary! You fool! No! Oh, it's gonna win. Oh my god, +3 DTs. Oh my god, +3 DTs! Oh my god, +3 DTs. What the shit? 1 scan is available. 2 scans almost ready to go. The DT Blink was used offensively. No, it's actually back in play. 1 more scan's available. The DTs are running for their lives. They won't have Blink again for a little while. They gotta avoid the scan. Time the split, man. Time the split. Get out of there. The DT Blink's not ready. He's gonna have to take the fight. He takes the fight. He's gonna try and win with the direct fights, but the DT numbers aren't big enough. He blinks away with 4. Oh my god. 1 orbital is all that's left. Foxer has 8 SCVs and 1 orbital command. He can't mule. RockeR still on 21 workers, but only 8 of them really working. What the shit? The reason I told him to go after the orbital, by the way, guys, before anyone like gets on my case, you know, they can lift, right? Like, duh. Is that I think he actually might have been able to kill it without Foxer paying attention fast enough. Like, they were DTs with +3 attack, and the base was injured. And that would have been so funny. But not gonna happen. Now he goes for the direct fights. DTs are pretty good, but Bio is even better. Oh no, at the end of it, he decides to go for the main engagement. And he overestimates the DTs. Oh. GG's. G freaking G. Foxer takes a game, holds on to the series. Whew. Whew. This series is bonkers. My goodness. Damn. What a series. What a series. With a point on the board, by the skin of his teeth, he is RockeR. In the bottom left, we have the Protoss RockeR. Ay. I do wonder if RockeR could have won that game had he waited a little while longer. Really a hard game to call when they're players. Of course, we always got to remember that. That is an insane game to call. You have no idea what's happening. But RockeR's DT numbers were pretty high. He could have made one Archon if Medivacs tried to drop all over his main base, his corner base. And maybe I seriously wonder if, like, you know, because 1 DT is all it takes to continue bothering that SCV line. Because it's not even about the scans or a Mr. being there. It's just the fact that you need units back at home to deal with the DT because it one-shots workers, right? So then RockeR would have had to either keep some units at home, you know, enough units to really matter. 4 units in a medevac, something like that. And then only had whatever else to try and harass. And that would have been very difficult for him. I wonder if RockeR could have played that out kind of like a macro game, honestly. Like, you know, do that, put RockeR in difficult position, and then get another base up. I know it sounds insane, but... Well, no, he did have the Raven at the end, didn't he? So, okay, so he didn't have to worry... Well... No, I don't know. I don't know. You know what? We're never going to know all the ifs and whats of that, man. Like... But I can say that DTs with Blink and +3 are pretty freaking good units. And they're two-shotting the Marines. No, they're one-shotting them again, right? Once they have +3. Once they have +2, sorry. They need +2 against combat shields to win in one swipe. I don't know if the Terran's upgrades affect that afterwards. I wasn't paying enough attention. Someone tell me. Where's Fear Dragon? Anyways, I think that there was a decent chance that the DTs could have actually taken a direct fight. So if anyone's like, wow, you never take a direct fight with DTs with Blink, that's not true. That is not true. But I do wonder if that was a little bit of overestimation. Or even just a miscalculation. You know, like, I need to do this as my last chance, when actually that game was really still very odd. But let's go ahead and keep that one in the past. Because this one's probably going to be just as wacky. Nothing as wacky so far as a cannon rush, which is what started off that last game. We do have RockeR going for a Stalker Sentry opener, so the scouting is going to be gotten through a hallucination. Another Fast Forge opener, too. Before he actually starts researching from the Twilight Council. All right, he's going to go +1 armor charge again. This is without having a failed cannon rush. Interesting. I'm like, chick with the cannon. I'm like, interesting. Hallucination's gonna see a normal 1/1/1 with a mine drop. RockeR is not gonna try any other clever Marine push out with it. And the game will go into 3 bases, with charge being the first upgrade, and armor being presumably the first upgrade. There we go. So charge coming out first in a non-desperate scenario is still kind of surprising, but thinking back on it, RockeR does have some interesting macro styles. So this is clearly something he's practiced with and isn't just a, I don't know what I'm doing, let's just go with it. He actually does use this. But again, to highlight some of the downsides, charge lots cannot defend against multi-pronged harassment very well. They need to be in larger numbers together to really be effective, and, well, to a certain degree. But primarily they don't blink, right? They take their time running up the ramp and all that good stuff. They also are a bit one-dimensional in terms of the Terran sizing up of the engagement. Force fields do add that second dimension, to be fair, and we saw that in the last game. A real highlight of sentries, in my opinion, in this best of 5. Sentries are accessories to a Protoss victory for a lot of professional games nowadays. RockeR is using them like 2012 when they were the main point of Protoss victories. Accessories now, a little handbag to go with whatever else you're wearing. Back in the day, the most important thing you have. So that's that does add a little bit to the Zealot situation. It's still kind of funky to see it coming out first and foremost. I would say there is a reason pros don't do this unless they are literally all-inning, in which case, again, charge all-ins don't even really happen too much more. The closest we get is Hero going up 4 bases, 2 gases, mass charge, all-inning. So this is certainly unique to RockeR. Woodamine drop was successfully pushed back. Didn't even get to drop out the Woodamines, which really does make it an unsuccessful Woodamine drop, by the way. It may not seem like a big deal if the Woodamines burrow but then don't engage. But even that little bit of disturbance to the probe line is something. This was nothing. Raven got something, a little bit of probe damage and lost mining time. We can see that... Why? The cat just pushed Jar off because he's a cat. Anyways, we can see that cannons have come down on 2 out of 3 of the bases of RockeR, which I think a lot of people would say is unnecessary. Of course he tried this. Kind of like when pros only build 1 missile turret against a Warp Prism harasser and skimp on the second one. It's like, why? Well, technically, if they can really play a perfect game, that's perfect. These cannons might be imperfect. They might not ever be useful, in fact. Maybe they do absolutely nothing from here on out, but they do provide a layer of safety. Foxer's build, regular follow-up from the 111, going on to 3 bases, has produced tanks, going right into Vikings. He's picked up on something. I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but RockeR does like Colossus. So that's fair game. And since you do have 5 medevacs, totally acceptable to go into Vikings at this point. And this has just stopped a cheeky gold base from happening. Big old drop in the main base is going to reveal that it's actually not Colossus this time. It's Archons, which is really quite important. If this drop ends up being cleaned up, but it kills the Forge and scouts that a Templar Archive is the tech of choice, I'd say it's completely worth it. Great force fields, though, but no blink. So pick up, leave, go to the 3rd base, down inside of the triangle base, exactly this, especially when you have no blink. The shield body overcharge will only save the day for so long. Fox are feeling like he's in the groove at this point. He's really got RockeR in a difficult situation. But RockeR is not dead yet, of course. 8 probes go down, base is not mining, upgrades denied, and Templar Archives reset. All pretty bad stuff. He's not dead. 4th base is on the way. And work account's still okay-ish. Foxer very comfortable in 70 SCVs, adding on his 4th CC, getting all defensive set up here. Not going to take any damage to a counterattack, that's for sure. But that also means he's not going for the killing blow. It also means that RockeR will have time to replace all the buildings and get everything powered up again, get back on his upgrades, which were already fairly fast. So it's important to deny them from, getting extreme. But because they were already okay, they're kind of still okay. Archon's coming in first and foremost. I mean, Foxer has always been getting EMPs. He's never skimped on ghosts. So I don't think surprise High Templars would have been devastating, but I do think that would have really changed up his production, right? So he's making useless Vikings at this point. 3 is probably okay, because that would help against any Warp Prism High Templar shenanigans, but anything more would be difficult, and then he wouldn't be prepped to EMP and start off a fight well. Now he's prepped to go, he's going to get the EMP and then try to take a fight. A little bit of SimCity's helping him out as well. Tanks just shelling away as much as possible. Command Center not going to be canceled, so that's a big blow to Foxer, but if he can hold on here, his army will eventually be much better than his opponents. His economy still better than his opponents, believe it or not. But that is the key question. Can he hold on? 1 more Archon gets popped, more reinforcements come through, SCVs can be pulled. I believe Foxer has the supply to hold on, but where the hell is it? He's going to try and consolidate it, but then he's going to lose his third command center in the process. Nope. No, he's not. Just kidding. No, he's not. No blink. Soccer's couldn't take advantage of it. Meanwhile, by the way, Foxer has been killing RockeR's main base. RockeR just let that happen. He said, no, this is all in anyways. Let's just go for it. Bunker gets destroyed, of course. Last Ghost gets one more EMP before its death. And this looks like a bit of a hole to me. I say a bit because so many SCVs have now been killed that it is a lot more ambiguous. Immortal still packing a punch against a lot of the Marauders as well. Makes this closer than you might expect. Here comes some Stalker reinforcements, but still no blink because Blink was actually stalled. It's been depowered. Tank gets taken down, but the bio remains strong, and the Stalkers cannot escape because they don't have Blink. Stalled out completely. +2 was supposed to be done. Blink was supposed to be done. 2 really important upgrades that could have turned the tides of battle. Absolutely. Foxer's drop ends up being worth it, even though it took a certain amount of his army away, which is what RockeR was probably hoping would eventually kill the guy. If he could just hit that right moment when so much of the army is killing economy, that he kills all of Foxer's army and has leftover army of his own, then he might have still won the game. But now Foxer has collected his army together, gets his economy back up and running, and knows that he did devastating damage to RockeR. 2 bases down. Yes, the probe count does favor the Protoss, but I mean, this game is gonna settle again, isn't it? Isn't it? I'm getting all caught up and I'm like, no, that actually was it. That was the last chance, and I'm looking at it now and I'm like, shit, no, it's not. Of course it's not. Of course it's not between these two. Of course it's not. RockeR does have 20 more workers, rebuilding a 3rd base because now he's going to be on, well, he's going to be on 2 bases in 1 second. Another base raid's going to happen because of course it does. Why don't I believe in these guys? Every time I think this game might be over, on its last little pinky holding on, another twist comes about. SCVs getting massacred to the mass zealots, which are EMP'd, but nothing to kill them. The factory can't even produce wood mines, producing a reactor right now. Full-on base raid time. Scan reveals no replace 3rd? I don't know what to call it at this point. But there is a base at the bottom right. Foxer, once again, missing a base at the bottom right. Doesn't know about it. Did he see a recall? Did he see a recall? Did he see that recall? I don't know if he saw that recall. I have zero idea about that. Foxer is losing out on his economy and his production. Foxer has no economy, but he does have an army. He's gonna finalize the blink kill. Jesus, please just do it. Okay, good. Just like imagine a probe comes over here and builds a pylon and gets so started up again. I think it's still be worth it for the +2. It probably would be. He needs pylons anyways. Oh, RockeR should actually really start thinking about this. Oh, buddy, think about replacing the pylon. Get that +2. The army supply is almost dead even. +2 would be so helpful. Command center lifted. Other command centers starting to build. Both of them have enough minerals. No, RockeR's the only one with enough minerals to rebuild a nexus. Foxer's gunning for the last nexus. He knows it's somewhere. He finally found it with something. He is gunning for it. RockeR looks like he is preparing to give it up. Yeah, he's preparing to give it up. Probes have been pulled. Let's skedaddle. I can't believe the forge was being made. Does he think he doesn't have a forge? He thinks he doesn't have a forge. Build a pylon. You don't need another forge. Start an upgrade. Build a pylon. Build a pylon. Build a pylon. Build a pylon. RockeR. Oh, this game is so difficult for the players. I just want to reiterate that. Okay, I just want to keep that in everyone's mind. It is so difficult to call as a player. But oh my god, there are probes. There's 850 minerals. There's a +2 underway. Please. God, no, he's gonna take the fight before it's done. Does +2 win him the fight? I'm not so sure. EMP pretty strong against his army composition. Feedbacks come in as well, and that is really important. A lot of these medevacs not actually doing any healing. Another EMP, but these things are already EMP'd, man. Most of them are already EMP'd. That EMP did help a little bit more, but the main problem was the DPS wasn't high enough. The DPS wasn't actually killing these suckers. And Foxer is forced to pick up and leave. Foxer is gonna lose this game anyways. Oh, heartbreaking. Heartbreaking, though. Absolutely heartbreaking. Foxer has played his damn heart out. And RockeR is once again going to come out ahead. I think, you know what? I'm going to blame this freaking factory, honestly. If that factory was actually producing and not building a reactor... A couple of widow mines popping out while you hole up in the main base. Even if they kill one zealot, you know, it's not like Fox was doing anything else with the money that he had, the bank that he had. Oh, too bad, too bad. But do also imagine if there had been 4 or 6 widow mines holding that high ground. So much more army of RockeR dies. So much more. Foxer was mining with a couple of mules. And, well, now I get to see the ultimate micro battle. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Charge versus Marauder slow. Charge versus Marauder slow. Charge versus Marauder slow. Marauder slow. Marauder slow. Marauder slow! It's too good! Hell yeah, Marauders. That scan just revealed a still pretty powerful army. I think at this point in time, you might figure they don't have Storm, but that must be concerning. Like, wait a minute. What if they have Storm? They don't, but you never know. Feedbacks are still quite scary as well, but there are no stalkers, and they don't have Blink anyways. So the pickups are good. Forge has been officially denied, so I can stop harping on that. But the scan also revealed that there is a mining base, and that does not feel super good to a guy who is mining with 1 SCV. Make that 0 SCVs. He's got 1 SCV building a command center at this point in time. Sorry, command center. Oh, a barracks, sorry. Ghost Academy was a great thing to get. One more Ghost with an EMP could help tremendously against this composition, but it ain't gonna happen now. Last SCV will die. He starts immediately producing more. I mean, what else are you gonna do? He tries to do the mule drop to get the last 2 units. I love it. But at this point, RockeR is mining steadily. Just needs to get unsupply blocked, and he will be able to replace 2 zealots, no problem. Oh, wall. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Both of these guys with such big brains. Oh, my goodness. I love it. I love it. I also love that Terran buildings can finish while burning. Oh, yeah. It's all coming together. No, yeah, lift. Yes. Oh, he almost made an unnecessary purchase. Huh. RockeR is not even rebuilding army. He doesn't have to. He did build more stalkers, but he's also rebuilding a nexus. Unfortunately, Foxer might have a biggest heart. He has 3 command centers? I missed that. He has still 3 orbital commands. Holy shit. But I think this might be too far gone. I said that before and I was wrong, though. But 30 probes to 5 SCVs. All the mules have just been dropped. Twilight Council's on the way. DTs would be an excellent addition. Would be, you know, pretty mean. But absolutely correct. If a DT warps in and Foxer has just muled his minerals, I'm just gonna tell RockeR to stop bullying him. All right, this is good. Foxer's looking for extra bases. He's not gonna. Is he gonna find? No, no. Foxer and finding hidden bases. Foxer and finding hidden bases. Yes, he's gonna find it. We're good. We're all right. We're good. He just scanned and he saw, I think, some of the army moving away. So he's actually just trying to hide at this point. But it is important that he knows this is a base. And now RockeR knows that he knows it's a base. So RockeR's gonna have to choose how he splits his army to defend. And he decides, he actually went chasing the medevacs and leaves the base completely wide open. Blink is on the docket first and foremost for RockeR, which I do believe is a good choice. Second, I believe best choice would be Dark Shrine. 3 orbitals is a lot of scans, but only if they're scanning. Here we go. Here it is. SCV's being picked up by the SC. That's why he left the medevac at home. I was wondering why he was doing that. Wow, they must be so familiar with base trades. Is this how they always play together? SCVs are saved, and now we have an attempt to go and snipe the base of the Protoss, but that is still too powerful of an army. You know, without the 2 Archons, it's a maybe, but even then, it's not a guarantee. Couple of Zealots could be freebies. EMPs are available. 2 Ghosts going to try and win this battle, but are they going to get the EMPs? And that one wasn't too great. Even if they got 2 perfect ones, I don't think that's enough. He's going to choose to evacuate once again, try and play this out. His last life in the first qualifier, after all. If there is even a 1% chance to win, he is going to take it. He's locked himself in a corner, which would usually be brilliant against Mass Charge Lot, but add in those Archons and not so much. Abusing the ledge is also a wonderful idea, but Foxer is no longer mining. This is all he's got. He's focusing everything on the micro. And his micro has to be so good that it beats double the army supply. Not sure that's possible. With Blink also finished for the Stalkers, we now have an actual killing element to the army. Even if you thought you could indefinitely micro against the charge lots, those Stalkers can now chase after you, and that might just be it. Foxer runs into the Blink Stalkers, sees his looming death, actually. He sees it coming. He sees it coming. There it is. There it is. Ugh. Absolutely heartbroken, though. Foxer played such a damn good series. Got RockeR just playing that type of style, I think, that really is so hard to predict against. You know, the zigging instead of zagging. With solid gameplay behind it, of course. You know, it can be some of the most frustrating styles of play. I'll say it again, Foxer, excellent games today. I think if Foxer plays against really good standard Protosses, I think if he played against Estrella or something like that, I think he'd absolutely have a chance. But RockeR's style of play makes him a very different beast.